And that fact is that the system was broken. Had the system been correct or even at 85% efficiency, I might even go with you. But it's not, it's so far short. And part of being American for me is to be brave enough, courageous enough to admit that we blew it. We blew it for many decades. And the time has come to not only take accountability and responsibility for what our country did in terms of not taking advantage of the opening we had in the late 80s, but also then to really complete the circle in true comprehensive immigration reform. It's the reason I'm still praying that, and thankful that what I hear from your staff, that you're still open to whatever bill will come before you. And I'm hoping that in that openness, that you might see it somewhere in there to dig deep into the American value system and say, you know, we made a mistake and it's time to fix it for real, and to not deny our American DNA and allow a pathway to citizenship. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, Roger. I'm Chuck Aikenhead. I'm probably only going to use about a minute and a half. Senator Paul yesterday said that he'd been to his town halls and that people had said things to him indicating they were on the other side. Well, here's my list. I voted for Obama twice. This district carried once for him. I'm against spending money for oil subsidies. I'd much rather us go to, and also wars. I'd much rather have us go to, or have military action because of abuses of citizens of other countries than I would for the oil industry. And on immigration, the only thing I can say is I'm, I think, fourth generation Scotch, and my grandfather came over here, my great grandfather came over here twice, and both times he came through Canada. I'm a little suspicious.
I like that. And by the way, the border security should not be singular. It should be borders. In fact, if you look at stopping terrorists crossing the border, it's been Seattle and the Canadian border that's been the issue.
Where's the wall up there?
Congressman Dave Peterson, I'm a retired attorney, and you and I have known each other.
Good to see you again.
You and I have known each other for many years.
Had a couple cases back in the day.
Yes, sir, we did. I'm curious about two things. One, you mentioned that you've come a ways towards wanting to support legalization of the status of people who are here undocumented. I didn't hear in your list of legislation that is currently pending before the House any legislation that would do that. And it seems to me it's easy to say to an audience like this, I've moved in that direction. It's another thing to say, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is, at least to accomplish that. And so that's the first question is, what do you intend to do, given your change of heart, to try to achieve that at a minimum in Congress? And then the second question really is, provided that the pathway to citizenship was as earlier described, that is an earned path where you're not bypassing anyone who's ahead of the people once the legislation was passed. I don't understand what your objection is, or what anyone's objection would be, to people becoming, or having the opportunity to become citizens of this great United States. My grandfather came over from Denmark. My wife's grandfather's grandmothers came over from Italy. They came at a time when there were no restrictions on, legal restrictions on immigration. They came legally because there were no restrictions. They came here seeking the same things that the people who have come here undocumented came here seeking. A path for a better life, an escape from violence and persecution, and I simply don't understand why a path to citizenship for our more recent immigrants isn't the right thing to do.
Hello, hi, my name's Juana Velasco, and I'm actually from California, but I live here in Omaha. And what I have to come to understand, you say no to the act of pathway, that you don't want any part of it, basically from you saying that it's not going to go to Congress, right? That you're not going to be able to take it. If we really think about it, the United States was built by immigrants. We're all immigrants in this land. That's what we need to see, that by immigrants do work that people don't want to do. I'm talking about the government, like the Social Security. There's a lot of people working with with Social Security from other people, and they don't collect the taxes. So where does all that money go? Right back to the government, doesn't it? So my question to you, what would you do to help the immigrants out? And I mean immigrants from everywhere, not only from Mexico, because once the word immigrant is there, it's like, oh, it's only Hispanics. And no, it's everybody around the world.
Our office deals with immigration issues from all around the country, not just Mexico and Central America. So that is a very true statement. It's not just Mexico, although they seem to be picked on a lot. So the other part is how to deal with the workers, and you mentioned that the undocumented that are using, I think this is what you're saying, they have maybe a fake social security number. If they're given a legal status, then they will have a legal status for working as well. And so they can't be taken advantage of even if they're not a citizen, if they're paying into the system and they meet the requirements of 40 quarters, then they're eligible for Social Security as long as they're paying in for the required
Then
amount.
are you telling me that you're all for the path to citizenship? Because with that statement that you gave, it sounds like you're saying yes to the path to citizenship. Am I right, everybody? Does it sound like that? I think you need to vote yes, because obviously everybody here is talking about the immigrants. We're not talking about the war that's going on over there. I think this is the most important thing that we need to bring back to Congress. Thank you.
Keith McGardis from Omaha. As our representative in Washington, I'd like to know why you don't respond to mail from your constituents. I sent you a registered letter asking about a bill and your vote on it, and I received no reply. I talked to your representative at the health fair down at the center. I gave him my name and address again, and I still received no reply. Now, is this representation?
We put a high priority. In fact, that's the #1 priority in our office. So if we didn't do that, then I need to get your name. And did you send that? Our mail is actually screened, and it takes a while, but if you were at the health fair, that was a month ago, so we should have gotten it. What's that?
This is well over a month ago.
Okay, we should have gotten the letter by now. So my person that's in charge of the mail is actually here, and so I would like to put you two together so we can get your data, so I can figure out your name. I feel like the NSA now. Your name and your address, and that way I can check to see if we even got the letter.
Okay.
All right? So I apologize for not getting, but we have a rule in our office of replying to every piece of mail or email that comes to our office. And by the way, we get, when I first got to Congress, it was mostly snail mail, and we had about 20,000 pieces of mail over the year. Now, we're up to about 110 to 120,000 contacts to our office. We've gone from one person doing the mail or the replies to our contacts to 3 people out of 14 employees, just to respond to people. So we've tried to ramp up appropriately to be able to answer everybody that contacts our office, whether it's by electronic means or more traditional U.S. Post Office means. Yes, sir.
Deshaun Cunningham, Omaha, Nebraska. I have a question, but I want to make 2 real quick statements. about the war in Syria. You say you're against it now, but it's hard to take you seriously when the weapons lobby in Bellevue was a part of your constituency for so long. So I'm curious to see if you'll still be against the war when they start pushing for it. Second, a lot of people in here are talking about immigration reform. Holding up immigration reform isn't just about a pathway to citizenship, it's about ending cruelty. I've worked with undocumented workers, women that are forced into performing sexual favors to pay rent. That's the kind of thing that we want to stop. This is what is allowed to perpetuate when people like you hold these things up. We're all But my question is, what I'm here for is about the Keystone XL pipeline. Now, you yourself have introduced a couple bills to speed up the construction of the Keystone XL pipeline. Now, this pipeline has been vehemently opposed by people in Nebraska, in the rural parts of the state. They have been active on this issue for years. There's things like Bold Nebraska, farmers unions, grassroots people coming together in opposition to this, and you're pushing legislation for this. Now, it's been said in the media that the only reason that this pipeline hasn't been built is because of the efforts of people in Nebraska. So literally it is us Nebraskans that are keeping this pipeline from being built. TransCanada, who wants to build the pipeline, has said they have alternate routes. They don't need Nebraska. They have an east-west route across Canada that can be considered. We have so many people saying no. These aren't radical people. These are people that look more like the gray-haired and glasses people. They're not radicals. They don't look like me. These are the grandparents, the landowners, and all these people. And these are the people saying no to this thing. Now, my question to you is, if Grandma and Grandpa out in rural Nebraska are threatening, and I don't mean that derogatory, I love my grandparents, but if Grandma and Grandpa in rural Nebraska are threatening violence against TransCanada workers for coming onto their land, why do you remain in support of this? You're willing to risk violence, you're willing to risk international companies coming in and threatening our sovereignty. Why are you still supporting this?
So the answer to that is because I think it's the right thing to do. So
this is the largest. This is
nothing we didn't know.
Next question.
How's it going? I appreciate you coming out here today. Many times you have voted for legislation that has been used to spy on millions of Americans, violating the Fourth Amendment. Legislation such as the FISA Amendments Act, the Patriot Act, and the National Defense Authorization Act, which funds those programs. You've even voted for border legislation that created what the ACLU calls a constitution-free zone, where people are subject to searches without probable cause or a warrant, even if they're Americans trying to exercise their right to travel freely within the country. Edward Snowden's leaks were not only beneficial to reveal how large the NSA spy system has become and how much our Fourth Amendment has been violated, it also shows how vulnerable our own information is in the hands of private contractors in the NSA. According to the Associated Press, there are about 500,000 private contractors who have access to the NSA databases. Not only is our information at risk for manipulation, as shown in the Stratfor files, it is also at risk of scoundrels. NPR recently reported that the NSA officers, several as well as private contractors, have abused the system to spy on love interests. The NSA spy system on Americans is beyond a capable realm of control. It must be abolished, not only because it is unconstitutional, but also because it can be used as a menace. This system is proving it is more of a waste of taxpayer dollars than a beneficial terror deterrent. It has disintegrated public trust and has put us at odds with allies. The Washington Post recently reported that there's a $52 billion black budget in the National Intelligence Program. How does this cost that much money? Considering how little benefit has come of these programs that spy on Americans, I'm starting to wonder if it's also just a way for massive payouts to corporate friends in places like Booz Allen Hamilton and their shareholders. It should surprise no one that the current director of national intelligence, James Clapper, is a former Booz Allen executive himself. We cannot trust a system where our private information is put in the hands of corporations that hold an oath to profits over people's rights. In the eyes of getting billions to invade privacy, they have shown which route they prefer. Martin Luther King once said, "The war is doing more than devastating the poor at home. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death." Maybe that's the real point of programs like this. I can't believe this Congress and the past 2 presidents have created an era where the news actually compares the government to Big Brother from George Orwell's 1984. So my question to you is, what is your plan to protect and restore the Fourth Amendment?
I appreciate and respect that question. And, I have voted in the past for the FISA courts, because those are the courts that would review any applications, or in essence warrants, to gather data or records and such. There has to be a court that reviews those type of applications. You can't go through the regular, especially for foreign terrorists, a regular criminal system of going to a judge.
That's not what's happening. It's all getting put into databases.
I know, I'm going to get to that part. So I gave you full 3 minutes. Give me the same respect. I really truly believe that the NSA actions with their database is unconstitutional. I've made that statement. If you look at Section 215 of the Patriot Act, it clearly states it's in regard to individuals where there is a articulable, reasonable connection to foreign terrorists. All right? So when NSA says that that's the section where they can get the records from the phone companies and Facebook and others, that's wrong. They don't have a constitutional authority to do that. Jim Sensenbrenner, the author of the Patriot Act, is rewriting that as we speak. We are so frustrated with the NSA and all of these. Every Friday afternoon at about 5, there's a new revelation about the abuses from the NSA. I'm frustrated with that. They've clearly exceeded constitutional authority. What we're going to do in Congress to reel them back, to stop investigating or gathering data on legal citizens who aren't doing anything wrong, we've got to stop that. We've got to reel them back.
How are you going to do that, though?
Well, that's a little bit of art.
Actually, can I rephrase this question? Let me start over. How long have you known about these issues?
When you read them in the paper, I found out for the first time.
I read about these years ago. You know, William Binney came out before Edward Snowden. Thomas Drake came out before William Binney. These have been known for years. I mean, are you just oblivious? Like, you know, you come out here and you say, oh, we're going to work on it. You've had years to work on it, and you continually vote to extend the Patriot Act and the FISA Amendments Act that are being used to violate our rights.
I just told you that we're going to address this.
Are you going to draft something?
Okay, I'm not the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, so that's going to be within that realm, but like I told you, I'm working with Jim Sensenbrenner right now on the reform of the Patriot Act.
And one more thing. We're not the land of the free without simple immigration.
Hi, my name is Kevin Graham. I live here in Omaha, and I'd like to thank you for coming out here to Omaha South tonight to talk with us. I thought that the graphics that you showed at the beginning of this were really helpful for framing the conversation tonight, because it's clear that we have a massive deficit problem and an even bigger debt problem in this country. And one of the big problems is that the discretionary spending portion of the budget that we can use to address those problems is relatively small compared to the whole budget. In that context, I'd like to take up the strategy of putting border security first when it comes to immigration.
Okay.
Now, we currently spend, as the U.S., about $18 billion on border security. This is more than we spend on all other law enforcement at the federal level put together. And this is a program which currently is a massive failure by any measure, okay? Now, it seems to me that as a fiscally conservative Republican, if this were any other kind of issue other than immigration, what you'd say is, we need to find a way to do this better. We don't need to just spend more money on this. We need to find a way to do the whole thing better. We need a comprehensive reform of this situation. So why isn't the solution for immigration not more money on border security first, but a better system to help people find a way to apply for citizenship first?
I like the way you phrased that. I think that's very solid and very fair the way that you approach that question. And I'm probably going to get booed, so rev up. But to answer your question succinctly, first of all, we're not going to go to an open borders where anyone can come in and say, I want to be a citizen. I mean, those days are over. That's not going to happen. There would be bipartisan opposition to doing that. So having a reasonable immigration plan is absolutely necessary. And I do agree that there needs to be reforms in when somebody wants to legally immigrate here, whether it's by guest worker or some other means, with the intention of staying and becoming a citizen, we need to make that easier for them. And I will say that I don't like the quota system. I think we need to have a serious discussion about getting rid of that and replacing it with something more reasonable. So the quota system has limited the number of immigrants from a particular country. And I forget, does anybody know what the number is for Mexico? It's a really small number, like 90 or something per year. It's ridiculous. But we need to do that differently. And then the issue with border security, you said, why do we put that first? And the answer is, A, 1986. In 1986, that's when Ronald Reagan provided amnesty and made all the folks that were here undocumented citizens. And what that did is encourage then another wave of illegal immigrants from all over the world that came here with the intentions of staying to the next amnesty. So if you don't have border security, if you don't have an E-Verify system for the employers to take responsibilities for who they hire as part of this comprehensive. And by the way, I was do those only a few years ago. So when David mentioned my progress here, that's one of them, is I'm willing to put that all in a comprehensive bill now. So I agree in part with you. I just want to make sure that I'm clear about, I'm not an open borders guy.
I think we're all clear on that.
We do need to, yeah, that didn't shock you, huh? That's, and so I want to put that down and also say that we do need to have an immigration system that makes it clearer and not have to wait decades to be able to come into this country legally. Yes?
Hello, Congressman Terry. Thank you for being here. Well, first of all, I'd like to start just explaining some folks that we, the immigrants, are not looking to become citizens just the next day after we arrive. We are looking for a process to become citizens. I came to this country 12 years ago from Peru. I'm not a citizenship yet. I don't have a citizenship yet. I became a permanent resident just a few years ago. I'm a business person who my best achievement lately is not filing bankruptcy because I'm recovering from the long and expensive green card, if you want to call it that way, process. So there's different people here. We contribute. And finally, I just want to give you, this is a question. It looks like you have a well-formed team here in your office, your staff. I'm a business person, a small business owner. When I'm looking for for business, I check my market niche and I prepare myself before getting to my niche that I'm trying to do business with. I don't see why you came to South Omaha. You have one bilingual person in your staff and there's no one translating here. we saw some people leaving. We saw some people leaving already because they have enough English to understand, to speak, but not to go through this kind of, for some people, technical
we have
English.
translator where you have them radio or whatever, and it interprets from my mic to that, and then earpiece.
Yeah, I saw the beautiful Cuban lady here, but nobody knew it. So some people left already without asking questions, and actually without understanding what you were trying to tell us here. But anyways, thank you for coming here, and please, if you can share my...
We went out of, we made an effort to have those type of devices here so people could have it, so
We didn't know that. But anyways, thank you for coming this way, and we hope you listen to us tonight and take what you heard to Washington. We'll highly appreciate it.
I will absolutely communicate what I heard here tonight.
Acela, where are you with the devices? Okay, if you want to come up front here to show them the device that they got, who needs a translator? I apologize, I wasn't aware of that. You're good? Okay,
Do you want it or not? Okay, raise your hand if you want it. And I'll bring one to you.
If you want one, raise your hand. Go ahead.
Congratulations, my name is Ahmad Nawaz. I came here on H-1B in 2008. I survived like recession periods, which is different company, got the job and move on. But the problem we do have, like when we get the job, we are eligible to get the job. We are not bypassing the citizen. My current company, like they have applied 2 times for the green card, but when it go for the labor, they are objecting that you are bypassing the US citizen. While I am working for the company as an H-1B. The others are almost 1.5 years ago. My wife don't have Social Security, though my kids and wife do have a tax number because we filed the tax. We went to the DMV, they asked for the Social Security, we said no, we don't have. We do have a document, I-797. They said okay, give us, we will verify. And from last 1.5 years, they are still verifying it. I don't know what they are doing. So she cannot drive here. We are, as H-1B worker, we are contributing in Social Security, in Medicare and Medicaid. We do have a limit of 6 years if I don't get the green card. It is still under processing. They have applied 3rd time, my company. I am working for a $1 billion company. They have applied for 3rd time, but if I don't get green card, I have to go back after 6 years. So I'm not getting anything in Social Security or Medicare. My 2 kids are US national. They don't know anything other than US. So I was just wondering if there is some I have read about the comprehensive immigration reform, but there should be some point system. If somebody is working for 5 years, 10 years, legally, he entered legally, there should be some point system that I do have master's in computer science, so there should be a point system that if we do have a hurdle in getting the green card process, we should have something like this.
Your situation right now is unfortunately not unique. This is part of the problem with our system. And when you file, you shouldn't have to wait this long. We can inquire into the status of that for you.
No,
and so we can help with that part.
Yeah, no, my question is the loopholes or the deficiency in the system. I am working for the company. They don't object that my company bypass a US citizen to give me a job. But when I apply for the green card, I don't know these type of things. But there are a lot of people who are in this situation, long backlog, like 10 years, 15 years they are working. So,
Yeah, and we don't want you to get caught in that trap that they haven't done their work, so therefore your H-1B visa expires and then you become in an undocumented status. So we can help with that by pressing them.
but God will let you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Chair. My name is Juan Carlos Veloso, and I really appreciate your coming here today. It's a pleasure to see you, and we would like to see you more often in South Omaha for sure. I am a Hispanic pastor, and these last 2 weeks have been very difficult for me. One of my members has been deported, I think a week today. It is very hard, and this man, he had 3 children in here, and the youngest children knew that I was coming here, and she was asking me to read her letter to you, Mr. Cherry. You know, numbers are so cold, but really, real human stories like this one, I want you to know this. And there are a lot of Hispanic people in here, so it's a very short letter. Let me read it in Spanish and then I read it in English. Okay? Estimado señor Terry, mi papá fue deportado a México y yo he estado muy, pero muy triste y deprimida. Ella tiene 13 años, ¿ok? Dice, mi papá ha estado conmigo toda mi vida y sin él me siento como algo muy grande me está faltando, me siento sola. Estoy segura de que no es solamente mi caso, que quizás hay muchos otros niños sin su mamá o sin su papá. Ellos quizás están pasando también un tiempo muy difícil como yo. Algunos de nosotros somos niños y los niños tienen que tener a sus padres. Yo quiero mucho a mi papá, por favor ayúdenme a traerlo de vuelta. Anaí. Dear Terry, my dad got deported to Mexico. I have been really sad and depressed. My dad has been with me all my life. Without him, I feel like something is missing. I feel alone. I'm sure it is not just me. There might be a lot of other kids without either their mom or dad. They probably going through a rough time. Some of us are kids, and kids need their parents. I love my dad, so please help me to bring my dad back home. The only question, this is just happening right now as we speak. The only question that I have for you, Mr. Terry, is this. How in the world, having this hard-working man, with no other offense ever in his life, being deported, and leaving his wife is here with me tonight, and leaving this wife with 3 children, how is the right thing to do? Taking this man, going back to Mexico, and leaving this family in here without the main support for them. They are obligated, they're going to be obligated to go into the welfare and into all of this system that they don't want to. How is that the right thing to do?
Can I have that letter? I would greatly appreciate that letter. That certainly pulls at the heartstrings. So, until there's a change, and again, I'll come back to, as long as we can do the comprehensive, where we have those other things I've talked about, I'm willing to go to a legal status so we wouldn't be deported. So,
please take our voice, and you know, you have been very kind and evolving your position. I remember you talking 4 or 5 years ago, and I can see how you are evolving, and we all do that, and we appreciate that, and we keep praying for that. Thank you.
Congressman Terry needs to be on the road at 8:30, so we have enough time, I'm told, for maybe 4 more, so I don't know if you want to draw straws.
why don't we do this? Can we keep the comments quick? And I'll be quick.
Make your point, please.
Because I'd like to at least get through as much of that of the line as we can.
Good evening, Representative Terry. Would you agree this is the largest town hall you've had in this August recess? If it's about 250 people, I'm told the pavilion one was large. It's a big space. But
It's a big space, and it's probably ranks up there with the first one.
So it was very impressive turnout, and a lot of people stood for that citizenship. I appreciate, as many people have said, that you responded to the earned path to citizenship, saying you'll keep listening and you'll see how things develop. That is very encouraging, and we appreciate that. The part that we'd encourage you to listen to especially is what happens when there's a second class of citizens. In the last weeks, we've been celebrating the 50th anniversary on the March on Washington, and we are still seeing the effects and suffering after generations of discriminatory laws. We hope that you would need to and face the reality of updating our national laws to meet our values and to create a fair path for everyone where no one is discriminated on that, especially with an earned path with all the hurdles that were outlined. So I appreciate your openness to keep listening as things progress, and I look forward to seeing you vote for a comprehensive bill this fall.
Hello, Congressman Terry. My name is Alice Cusack, and I need to start off by saying I am a lifetime registered Democratic voter. I have contacted your office a number of times on many different issues, and I have always received a response from you.
Oh, good.
I wanted to say that I voted for Barack Obama. I have my son who, when Barack first ran, we went over to the Iowa School of Death and we shook his hands. What I'm here to say is I am second generation immigrant from Italy. Somebody said that there were no barriers or anything. That is not true. In Ellis Island, if you were sick, you had to stay there. If you were sick, you were shipped back. So it is not true that those people, the Italians and other people, did not face hurdles to become citizens, because they did. I have a personal story. I can tell you it is true. The other thing that I need to tell you is that someone said, second-class citizens, that we are making a mistake, and it is an un-American ideal that we have second-class citizenship. You know, I understand, I empathize, I really do. And I know that the people here who are here illegally do take abuse, but not only by employers, but also by people who provide housing. But what I'm here to say is, you guys, you have to take personal responsibility. You made a choice. Someone made the choice to break the law. And it comes down to that. Someone